Hello, my mimics, and welcome back to the Mimic Commentary, episode 82, where we continue our foray through the Academy. Last episode, we talked about a lot of interesting stuff, and I wanted to return here because we had a few comments that I wanted to bring up. Mikkel Marini, oh, someone's attacking. Get out of here, nerd, I'm talking. Said the bodies at the base of the crystal reminded them of the bodies in the Erd Tree roots at the end of Catacombs. Two applications of the same principle. We were deducing... Oh, yeah, I did a lot of farming while not doing the video. We were deducing that the Academy is trying to learn the nature of the world. The Carians are in the know of the nature of the world, and they're trying to protect that knowledge. It looks like Sellen was one of these scholars of the Academy who were sacrificing students to create Graven schools. A talisman depicting a school of Graven mages, the nightmare of the Academy. The primeval current is a forbidden tradition of glintstone sorcery. To those who cleave to its teachings, the act of collecting sorcerers to fashion them into seeds of stars is but another path of scientific inquiry. And when we were thinking seeds, you know, the only seeds we have so far are the golden seeds found at the base of illusory trees. The Trina Lily, I think from last episode, was definitely telling us that the Erd Tree is an illusion. All right? Erd Tree is an illusion, and it's coming from those seeds. Oh, hey, this is actually an interesting table. We'll talk about this in a second. Then we have the found in the Carian study hall, the Cerulean Seed Talisman, which depicts an Erd Tree seed. The Erd Tree was once perfect and eternal, thus it was believed that Erd Tree seeds cannot exist. So people shouldn't know that Erd Tree seeds could exist. However, with the shattering of the Elden Ring, now we know golden seeds are produced. So seeds are flying from the Erd Tree, and it's as if life had come to an end. Here in the Academy, they're looking through a different path. They're looking at the sun and the stars and the sky and the moon and all that. And it looks like through sacrificing people, and maybe in the jars, maybe sacrificing children, sacrificing students who all wear the same mask, so you don't know when a student goes missing, they lose their identity, and then they get fashioned into a seed of the star. Perhaps they're trying to mimic the Erd Tree. Instead of having faith and all that, they're trying to do it through a scientific path. They're trying to brute force their way into making something of the cosmos. Euron Greyjoy, awesome name, said, let's just peek here, the big jar in the Academy, looking so out of place among the sorcerers, makes me think of Radon, giving Alexander's later association. The burly warrior growing up somewhere he doesn't quite fit in. Uh-oh, he heard me. That's, I think that's a really cool observation. Speaking of the jar, Brayart says, the practice I named in the last video, which was about putting the jars back together, is called Kitsugi. The goal of this practice isn't to conceal the breakage, but to let the cracks speak and make their history the most defining feature. So, all very interesting stuff. I appreciate people sharing their opinions. And since there was a bunch of these jars here, I want to, before we talk about the debate parlor, actually, I guess I should look at the table, and then I want to go to Jarburg. Because I got all interesting stuff here. Very, very lunar table here. Can we see anything? It looks like crescent moon on the outside. It looks like it's just a series of crescents, but I'm definitely getting crescent moon. Maybe eye? I see crescent moon into an eye. And there's like a little floral pattern in there too. Oh, is that lilies? That looks like lilies right at the edge. Those lilies. These. Can I see that? The moon and lilies. There's a connection, everybody. Oh boy, is there a connection. We'll get to it when we get to it. I've been reading, I think I mentioned this in the episode 31 Reborn. I've been reading a book called Our Moon. Holy moly, what a really good book. It's Our Moon by Rebecca Boyle. And a lot of stuff about the moon I'm learning about. It's crazy. It'll probably come up in our discussions.
Ah, hello again. Say, cuz, have you met Uncle Alexander? He used to live here with us. but then he left to be a champion. I asked to go with him, but he said, "The path of champions must be trod alone." So heroic, right? I miss him, though. If you see him, you should ask him to teach you how to fight, cuz he's big and tough and strong.
All right.
Uncle
Anything else?
Alexander said he won't be back again. My home is of the past, and the past, as they say, is a different country. I suppose that's part of being a warrior, isn't it? So, please don't tell anyone, cuz. But I'm actually a warrior jar as well. One day, I'll be just like Uncle Alexander. Then I'll have to leave the village to become a champion.
Wow, okay, so Alexander, our friend, who first we met stuck in a hole here, and then we met over here, who is filled with a bunch of warriors from the past, and their dreams have come together, their thoughts, their emotions, their prayers, their wishes have come together and coalesced into one giant warrior jar. And I think what he says is that their goal, his goal is to attain like a legendary heroic tale or status. That is the dream of all of the warriors who he is made out of coming together. And Jar Baron over here, little Jar Child, he is also made of warriors too. But he's also childlike. It's interesting that he came from this village and then he left. So he came here and he left south to here and he's going to Redmane Castle. So we see Alexander's journey southward. Also interesting that the jars which are being studied at the academy, if we look at jar shards, a fragment of a living jar hardened after its death. Such fragments command a high price due to the magical power locked within, probably the magical power of life. Sorry, my cats are getting a little antsy because of Kyra. She's just looking at them and they're meowing. These leaves the living jars unfortunate targets for poachers. So someone probably comes to the village, they poach the jars, and they bring them back to the academy. So they're poached from props here and brought to the academy to be studied. But it's interesting that Jarburg is hidden behind the Carian study hall. It seems that the Carians also know something about these jars that other people might not know, and maybe that's why they're protected in this secluded area with the broken bridge. That the Carians know a history about these jars, and they are protecting these living beings that are whimsical, that want to play in the flowers. Yeah. All right. Let's go back to the debate parlor, and in the debate parlor, we will talk about the Red Wolf of Radagon, and we will also talk about all the goodies I got. And now we're back at the debate parlor. So first, before we start inspecting this room and going over what they may have talked about in here, how it's constructed, I first want to talk about the Red Wolf of Radagon. He gave us another memory stone. Black, lightly beguiling stone, prized by the sorcerers who produce them, increases memory slots, said to be a fragment of the black moon that once hung above the Eternal City. So this wolf was able to cast Carian glint blades, which are, if we look at our staff, if we look at our Carian glint blade staff, Carian glintstone staff are for sorcerers that they might enact the role of a knight. So that is casting something like this. So this was given to sorcerers. That staff is given to sorcerers so they can cast spells of mimicking swords in this way. Knights were given the staff to cast glint blade phalanxes like this. The spell that the Red Wolf of Radagon appeared to be casting appeared to be similar to, or not that glint blade phalanx, to magic glint blade, because he would cast 3 and they would wait to cast. Magic glint blade comes from the prisoner class, who wears the iron helmet giving us Griffith vibes, kind of reminding me of the Iron Helmet, or the Iron Mask, someone from nobility outside of the Lands Between who was imprisoned. Kind of reminds me of the Nox Mirror Helm a little bit because of this kind of like covering of the face and the eyes. The Prisoner Iron Mask, the Prisoner set, was found in Noxtella on the Hermit Merchant. So he was able to cast that. Oh yeah, you may have noticed the costume change. I was farming off screen. So the Red Wolf of Radagon can cast Magic Glintblade. And if we recall, Magic Glintblade is an old sorcery of the Carian royal family, said to be the prototype of the sword phalanx sorceries wielded by enchanted knights. Okay, so the Red Wolf of Radagon can cast the prototype, an old sorcery. So if we're thinking about maybe the Red Wolf of Radagon, it's telling us this is Radagon's wolf, obviously. It's his wolf. The of Radagon is an interesting title, because when it of Radagon makes me think a part of Radagon. Like, this is the Red Wolf that's part of Radagon. Either it's, in this magical literal sense, we have what do we have? We have Crucible, which allows the manifestation of the Erd Tree's primal vital energies, an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together. We have context where people can turn themselves into animals in some way. The power of a beast people can manifest the power of a beast. Let's just put that on our character real quick just to, we got a memory slot, so let's throw that on there. It's not far out of the realm of possibility that Red Wolf may have been a person at some point, like most of the animals we find. But the of Radagon is interesting. Is that literally a piece of Radagon? That Red Wolf is a piece of Radagon? So he could cast these. He could also manifest a golden sword, not like Carian Greatsword, but similar to when we fought Margit. He was able to, Margit was able to manifest golden weapons, holy golden weapons. They did holy damage. Now we blocked this with our shield, and it didn't do any holy damage. It did all physical. So it wasn't really magic. I mean, it wasn't really like an incantation. It just kind of looked like it. I don't know if that's on purpose, but it leads me to believe that it may have been. But we find him here, sitting in the debate parlor. He can cast old Carian sorceries, and he can cast what looks like holy incantations of blades. We'll have to learn later about when did the wolf come here. Did the wolf come here before Radagon? Probably not, of Radagon. He's a red wolf. Red hair is always associated with Radagon. Everything about Radagon, they always talk about red hair. The red hair champion, I think here they talk about it as red hair. They mention it all the time. Muriel mentions it all the time. Red hair is very important. So the red wolf Radagon. There's the red, Radon is the red lion. We know that's his son. So red also associated with him. The fire monks, they have red beards. And they come from the mountaintops. In the character creator, we learned, I don't remember what the name of the character is, but it's like the mountain folk, whatever their name is. I don't recall exactly, but it said that people believe that they're descended to giants, and they come from the mountains, just like the fire monks. So that leads me to believe that Radagon has some ancestry to the mountains, to the giants, giving him his red hair. We found the Lionine misbegotten, tied to a legendary weapon in the Morn Moan grave. Lionine as lion. Radon is the red lion. So the Lionine misbegotten's making me think of Radagon. And now we have this Red Wolf of Radagon, who can cast old Carian sorceries and which looks like incantations. And he's here. So when did the wolf learn those sorceries? Well, since he has Carian Glintblade, the wolf must have learned Carian Glintblade after Radagon married Renala, right? It would have to have been Renala's family like the Carians, teaching Radagon and his wolves, or his wolf, this type of magic. We deduce now. Someone in the Carian study hall video made mention that they thought that my evidence was flimsy on the hooded statues being Radagon, and so far it is. It is flimsy right now. We're using prophetic power and prophetic knowledge to come to a conclusion where we don't actually have all of our resources yet and all of our evidence. So I just have to ask you to have faith that the hooded statues are Radagon. It will all come together, I promise. It'll all come together, I promise. But in the Carian study hall, we see the hooded statues of Radagon with the book studying, where we learn about the Erdtree seeds and all that. So Radagon is learning this, esoteric wisdom from the Carians, and about the systems of the world, maybe even about, the magic downpour with the Crystallians. And I guess his wolves also learning that. You give them a memory stone and it can enhance their memory, and they can learn the sorcery as well. He also had since he had the golden sorcery, the golden kind of incantation looking attacks. Does that mean the wolf had that before he got here, or after Radagon married Marika? So that's something we're going to have to deduce. Why is the wolf here amongst this area? Are the bones in here because he's been eating people? Now, Radagon left Renala. So why did he leave his wolf behind? Well, Renala's kind of like a prisoner here. The Academy rebels against the Carians, and she's locked in this. She's locked up in here. We don't know that yet, but we know she's locked at the highest tower in a library. Actually, we'll get to it. And this wolf, to me, indicates that perhaps he is defending her. Radagon has to leave for the capital after Godfrey's banished. He becomes second Elden Lord, and perhaps he leaves his wolf behind to protect his love, protect his wife. Now, or maybe it's more nefarious. Maybe it's to keep her here. You can't leave. But we don't know if the wolf left with him and came back, or if the wolf always stayed behind. And we'll have to find more items to deduce that, based on when does the wolf learn its magic. Now, while I was off camera, I did some farming. I had to pick up these two cookbooks. These two cookbooks, a missionary's cookbook, a man who wished to become a finger maiden, and a nomadic warrior's cookbook. I actually had to take a little bit detour to the smoldering church. I didn't do anything else other than pick up these cookbooks. And the reason why is because I needed the crafting recipe for silver pickled fowl feet, because look how many frickin' sorcerer manchettes I had. I got so many sorcerer manchettes before I got the robes. And I wanted to talk about what we learned. So there, I was saying, I was trying to deduce, I was looking at these robes, and I was thinking Sellen wears these robes, and they're very similar to where are they? The Carian Knight colors. And I was thinking, okay, well, is this saying that Sellen could be a Carian because she has similar colors to the Carian Knights? But that doesn't seem to be the case. This seems to just be the general robes of the Academy. Let's look at these guys. Are they all wearing the same thing? Yeah, they all wear these robes. And then Renala, I don't want to pull people. Renala also wears these robes. Now, it's hard to say what came first. Is this... there's kind of looks like there's crescent moons in the robes. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe Renala changed the... maybe Renala, this is her outfit, and she's like, all right, the school's going to have to look after me because I'm the queen and headmaster of the academy. Or was it always like that? Okay, let's look at these guys. So if I was to get... Right now, I'm just a fledgling sorcerer on my tops. But, oh wait, I'm so smart, I'm going to be joining the Olivinus conspectus. That looks like this guy. So this is the Olivinus conspectus. The Olivinus conspectus, they began with Lusat, and they study meteors. Lusat is also glintstone stars, attracts sorcerers from Celia. So meteors, they like glintstone stars. I didn't buy the other one yet. I don't have enough rooms for that. Then we have the Karolos conspectus, the most venerable of the Academy. What do they study? Where does it say? I guess comets. So the most venerable of the Academy. Very few can master it. The Red Wolf of Radagon was able to shoot this, I think. The Red Wolf of Radagon could do a comet. So it's so smart. It has 52 intelligence. That wolf is smart. They study comets. These guys are studying stars and meteors. These guys, shooting stars, which are meteors. So they like meteors, shooting stars over here. These guys like comets. If we think the difference between a shooting star and meteors, these are space rocks that, like asteroids, I think, that enter the planet's atmosphere. They enter Earth's atmosphere, and they can impact the ground. So these are celestial objects. These are rocks. Usually, I think they come from the asteroid belt in our solar system, and they land. They break through the atmosphere, and that's where they get the flash of light, and like the trail. These are shooting stars, are meteors that break through the atmosphere, and then sometimes they can crash onto the Earth. Do we have... I think we do. Here we have our gravity stone chunks. Shard of rock found in the wake of a meteorite strike. It's imbued with a particularly weighty magic. The desperate ones who scavenge for these shards dub themselves star callers. Now this does the gravity symbol. It's different than the Academy symbol. But those are the impacts. So I guess that's another school of magic. That's actually this school of magic. Glintstone sorcery is that manipulates gravity manipulation. A gravitational technique studied by the young Radon. His master was an Alabaster Lord. So these guys are studying meteors, the shooting stars, screaming across the sky. That's one type of magic school. That is the Olivinus conspectus, made by Lusat, and the Sellians are totally into that. We have another school of magic that looks like it's not, that doesn't have a conspectus, but Alabaster Lords teach it. One Alabaster Lord was found. We found an Alabaster Lord with the star collars over here. An Alabaster Lord on the beach over here. And an Alabaster Lord here in the Academy. That's where we got the gravitational. So that looks like that's not a school of magic that can be taught by people. That's a school of magic taught by the Alabaster Lords with skin of stone. So not a conspectus. It's kind of related to the Olivinus conspectus because it's when meteorites hit the ground. So there is a distinction there. There's a distinction in this school of magic and the school of thought. Where is it? Because we're awake in the meteorite strike. Okay. Then over here, let's take off our hat. Now we have the Karolos conspectus. The Karolos conspectus, they're interested in comets. Now, comets have, they are made of rock and minerals and what else is in there? Gosh, I can't even, like, what's iron? What would you call iron? Metals, rock, mineral, and metal. And they have an icy casing around them. You can kind of see this is kind of icy. Generally, comets, they have an elliptical path around the sun. And sometimes their orbits, like for us, a full rotation around the sun is 365 days. That's a year. For a comet, it could be like 200 years before it fully goes around the sun. Sometimes it doesn't even make it and it gets shot out of our solar system. So the Karolos conspectus is studying the comets. The Olivinus conspectus is studying shooting stars. These are meteorites that break through the atmosphere. The Karolos conspectus, they are studying the comets that go around the sun, that have metal, minerals, and rock. Now we have another conspectus in the center. We can look at the size of these photos, and we can kind of see a hierarchy here. So, the Olivinus conspectus, not that big. The Karolos conspectus, one of the most venerated of the Academy. Smaller than both of them is this conspectus. We can take a look at him. Oh, cleaning my robes. These look like, this must be Lusat, the founder. Whoever this guy is, we don't have his name yet. And then we have this guy. He is covered in blue crystal. He looks like he has a sword with blue crystal. He's wearing all white, kind of similar to this sword. So this is a wooden sword with blue glintstone in it, the same blue glintstone as the Carian staff. So this is a Lazuli glintstone sword. A sword with a glintstone in its handguards, wielded by scholars of the Lazuli conspectus, who seek to master Carian sorcery. Apparently, once used as a staff of sorcery, this sword is made of wood, and it has a glintstone pebble. Pebble is actually interesting too, because many of celestial objects, many meteorites, they are the size of a pebble. So, these guys are trying to master Carian sorcery, which is, you know, our glint blades and our... That's a Carian sorcery. They will even cast this using their sword. We've seen that in the gameplay so far. And why do they wear white robes? Robe worn by scholars of the Lazuli conspectus, singular among the greater Raya Lucaria Academy. Wow. So this is the difference is everyone is wearing these robes, the Raya Lucarian robes, but the Lazuli conspectus, they are wearing the pure white robes. They are singular among the greater Raya Lucaria Academy, because these scholars who sought to master Carian sorcery instead learned to see the moon as equal to the stars. This robe, in hue of the full moon, signifies their heresy. Okay, so it's heretical. It's heretical to see the moon as equal to the stars. That's no bueno for the Academy. Which is kind of crazy because Renala, if we look, we know is our Queen of the Full Moon. So the Lazuli Conspectus are a group of sorcerers, part of the Academy, who are heretical to everyone else because they see the moon as equal to the stars. So the Sellians, this is important. Sellians are interested, people from Sellia are interested in the Olivinus Conspectus. They prefer the study of stars. That means they don't see eye to eye with studying the moon and seeing it as equal to the stars. We can even see a hierarchy here. At the bottom is the Lazuli Conspectus. Then the Olivinus Conspectus. Then the Karolos Conspectus. Comets are the best. But then above them is something else. Above all of them are these guys. Who are they? Well, we don't have their crown yet, so I'm just going to use some prophetic knowledge. That's the Twin Sage Conspectus, I think is what they're called. I don't remember exactly, but those are the Twin Sages. And they are, if you're a Twin Sage, you could study everything. These guys just study shooting stars. These guys study the moon and Carian sorcery, which makes it interesting that Carian sorcery is unique. Like, it's so unique. It's not just like doing glintstone pebble. It being able to make magic that is a perfect copy of a sword. You can actually see that's the sword he's holding, is a glint blade. He's holding a physical glint blade. That's its own school. The Comets, its own school, and then the Twin Sages above them. Then let me put my weapons back together so I could show you one more thing, and then we'll go inspect the debate parlor. Let us do... Where's the halberd? Dragon halberd. I need a shield. You know what? Let's go with... Can I do our false dragon build again? Because I like how that looked. Maybe we could do the Carian gauntlets. Why not? And then what pants without heavy rolling? Can I wear these? Doesn't really match, but oh well. Alright. Gotta clear these guys out. I don't know how far... This might be a yapping episode. This might just be a complete yapper episode, and the next episode we'll keep running through the academy. Nice. Got the robes. Okay. Here, I think this is bigger than any of the other... Is that bigger than the other portrait? Yeah, way bigger. Way bigger. So, the Lazuli conspectus, heretical among the academy. Lowest of the totem pole. But they got swords, don't screw with them. Then, study of the stars. Study of meteorites. Then, study of comets. Then the twin sages. But above all of them is the queen of the full moon. And there's her staff in all of its glory, and she stands above the rest of all of their crowns. You don't even see the twin sage crowns here. That's the Karolos conspectus crown, with its glintstone removed. Glintstone's very valuable. She's above them all. Then we come to the debate parlor. Yeah, I like the false dragon build, because I like the stream of white hair. Let's just restart our stats. So we've been talking that, you know what? Just so I don't have to keep throwing down glowstones, let me... Oh. Wait, didn't I... There we go. Okay. That's a sun. That's a sun. That's the sun. Sun. Okay. All these lecterns, people sitting across from each other, different sides of the debate bar. The bones here, I'm assuming that the bones are from the Red Wolf eating people. So yeah, totally a Sun Realm era building. The sun is a star. The sun is a star. What else do we have here? Above them all, but above the sun, above everything, is the moon. The moon governs all in the academy now, but that's seen as heretical. Then perhaps here, could someone sit up here? Maybe someone could sit up here. They would be over the proceedings of the debate. Giant telescope. Look how big that telescope is. And what are they debating about? What type of debates are happening in here? Well, Sellen, who was expelled from the academy. Sellen was expelled from the academy as an apostate witch because she, rumor has it, deducing from Tops and what she wants, she was trying to get the Graven, she was trying to practice the primeval current, the forbidden tradition of glintstone sorcery, by making Graven mages, taking students and combining them together to make seeds of stars. Glintstone is the amber of the cosmos and contains residual life. So glintstone are space rocks that contain the soul. That's what we deduce. And if we look at the debate parlor, we could see all of the great people. We see the major conspectuses, Karolos, Olivinus, Lazuli, Twin Sage. And then who do we have here? On equal footing to Renala within the debate hall. So the Twin Sages are not part of this, but oh, that's interesting. The Twin Sages, we get, huh? Oh, but that doesn't work because Karolos is not there. Then we have Renala, her portrait, and then who's that? Well, it looks like Sellen. Looks like her mask. It even has the green glintstone. But what scroll is she looking at? She's looking at a Carian sorcery scroll. That's the Carian sigil. This makes us think, is she a Carian? If we attack Sellen in the Witchbane Ruins, she will cast Carian glint blades. But when we talk to her, she can't teach it. She can't teach until we give her the royal family scroll. Oh. Can I? How am I gonna? That's interesting. That's interesting. That in her portrait, she is looking at a Carian scroll. So is she a Carian? What does that mean? Then we have Renala. So what type of debates are going on here? I could imagine the Olivinus conspectus is saying that, you know, we are studying meteorites, we are studying shooting stars, because they bring glintstone to us. On these meteorites, they came... Glintstone that houses all of this, this wonderful power, houses these secrets. The wisdom of stone must have come from meteorites. That's why we should study them, because they come here. That is where the true power, that is where true knowledge is. It's in the meteorites, it's in the shooting stars. Maybe they even had celestial dew from the eternal city. Where is it? And they know that once upon a time, the stars of the night sky guided fate. And this is a recollection of those times. Now, that's very historically relevant. I don't remember which dynasty it was. I think 3000 BCE. Let me get my book. So the Olivinus conspectus, they're into shooting stars. This is something that, while not shooting stars, but the stars of the night sky guiding fate, here is a historical precedent for that. In May 1059 BCE, the southern sky held a supremely rare sight. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all grouped together within about 7 degrees of sky. For comparison, your fist held at arm's length covers about 10 degrees of sky. It would have been a spectacular sight viewed from anywhere on Earth. In ancient China, it would have been drenched with significance. The 5 Pacers, or Wubu, were also known as the minister regulators of the supernal lord Shangdi. He was the supreme deity during the reign of Shang, and he controlled the harvest, the weather, and victory in battle. In May 1059 BCE, his Pacers were flying in the beak of the vermilion bird, the constellation that represents the southern sky. It is a fiery red bird, the phoenix in Western lore, and one of the 4 major Chinese mythological symbols. The vermilion bird also represented the fortunes of the Zhao dynasty. The Pacers in that constellation, coupled with a blood-red eclipsed moon almost exactly 7 years earlier, seemed to the vassal king Wen of Zhao like a clear mandate to seize power. He built a new calendar and inaugurated it in 1058 BCE, the first year of the receipt of heaven's mandate. The mandate held that rebellion against an unjust ruler is not only right, but consecrated by heaven itself. The mandate guided Chinese politics for the next 3 millennia. So, that the stars do guide fate, because people on Earth see them as messages from the heavens. And to the Olivinus conspectus, they see that as the shooting stars. Now, the Karolos conspectus would come in, and they would say, you fools. Those are the smallest, the most insignificant stars of all, the meteors. They are child's play. They hold little wisdom. The comet, however, only rears its head every few hundred years. It comes into our view and then leaves. Think of all of the knowledge and information we could learn if we were able to get a piece of that comet, the wisdom of stone straight from the cosmos. Where does it go, and when will it return? What does it learn on its 200-year voyage? Now that is worth studying. That is what we should deduce. What can we learn from down here from what's going up above there? The twin sage conspectus would say, both of you are correct. Both of you have the right answer. It is not just the comets, and it's not just the meteorites, but it's both do we learn the truth. That is how we find the wisdom of the stars. We must continue our research into both schools of thought, that which makes it to our earthly domain and that which lives in the heavens. But then the Lazuli conspectus says, I have heresy to speak. I see the moon as equal to the stars. I have seen the ways of our great lunar queen, Rennala. And it is the moon that truly guides us. It is the moon whose power we need to respect. It is the moon we should be following and not the stars. And why would he side with Queen Rennala? What would she have to say? what would Renala have to say about the moon? She might say, "Dear scholars, dear Academy, from the earliest days of man, since he first walked upon this earth and looked up into the heavens, only one star, only one celestial object ever dared to look at us back. And that is our dear moon. Our moon, just like us, goes through changes. She starts as new and then cycles to full and back to new again. Every night when it is dark and you search for your stars to find direction, you are stuck peering up into the sky. But the moon shall cast her gentle light and illuminate the earth for us, so we may see where we are going. She takes the warmth and the light from the sun, holds on all day just to return it to us back in the evening. Without the moon, without the moon, I'm just doing this off that, we're doing some roleplay. Without the moon, how would we find our way in the dark? This is where a sorcerer might retort. Do I have... Oh, I don't. I'll be right back. I have to get the sorcerer's retort. This is where the sorcerer retorts. The sorcerer says, "Aha! But your moon goes dark once every month. That's why we follow starlight. Granted to sorcerers who depart from the academy to embark on journeys, even during the blackest of night, sojourns underground, or imprisonment in jail, the stars are never far from a sorcerer's side." And this is where Renala says, yes, the stars always cast their light, but that they're so far away, they're so impartial. They are irradiating that light not for you. They are just indiscriminately showing their light. They care not for your well-being. But the moon, she cares. The moon has to sleep. The moon is just like us, though. Just like us, she must rest. She cannot show her light every night. So one day of the month, she hides her face and takes a rest. But then she returns to give us all of her wondrous splendor, especially on nights of the full moon. So while the stars may always be in the sky, and they may always show their light, none care for us like the moon cares for us. Now, there is scientific... as I mentioned, I'm reading the book about our moon. The moon is some of the oldest human architecture in the world are lunar calendars. One of them is, I believe, the Warren Fields in northern Scotland. How old? I think it's 6,000 years old. Let me confirm. The Warren Field is a location of a Mesolithic calendar monument built around 8,000 BCE. It includes 12 pits believed to correlate with the phases of the moon and used as a lunisolar calendar. The theorizing around it is that this calendar was used to mark in the entire lunar cycle, 12 months. How long it takes? I think it takes about 12 months for the what is it? So a lunisolar calendar is one that combines monthly lunar cycles with the solar year. These calendars have been developed independently of each other all across the world, but the oldest is the one found in northern Scotland from 8,000 BCE, 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago, humanity was able to construct massive calendars, or massive, structures to denote when the moon would change. It denotes when there was a change in human perspective to be able to plan ahead, that they could predict what would happen in the future thanks to the moons. Particularly in this region of the world, it was most likely when salmon would come back to their breeding grounds, and then there would be I think it was like maybe the fourth moon, the salmon would come back and they would start breeding, and then, we would have a lot of food. So maybe having the calendars set up this way is so humans were able to determine when they could feast, and when there would be, like, not famine, but when they would have to conserve. And it's because of the moon. The moon also, things that I'm learning from this book. The moon is what's essentially guided evolution. Without the moon, like, what makes our planet so unique compared to other planets is because of the moon, the gravitational pull, moving the tidal currents. It's theorized that because of those tidal currents is what led to the first fish evolving into land mammals. It's really crazy stuff. So, yes, the stars and the cosmos, all very wonderful, but it's really the moon that allows us to even exist on our planet. It's really spectacular. I'm learning so much from this book, and you could see, I still have to keep reading it, but the moon is what has helped humans develop concepts of time. One of the only animals, probably the only animals, with a concept of time, of being able to denote when we are in relation to where we are. Its gravitational pull has led to literally the evolution of life on our planet. It's pretty spectacular, and even that's from an astronomer's point of view. But from an astrological point of view, the moon is seen as it's seen as like an emotional marker. It's given a lot of feminine properties, where the sun is given a lot of masculine properties. It's a menstrual cycle, menses, comes from the moon, where being able to know when children can be born, tied to the moon. It's just really spectacular stuff, and I understand why the Lazuli conspectus would want to learn more about Carian sorcery, and how the Lunar Queen was able to take over the Academy, or maybe not take over, why it's the Lunar Queen and not the Star Queen. Because the moon is really what holds dominion and power out of all the celestial objects in our universe, that has some of the most import for our planet in particular. And I imagine for the planet that the Lands Between takes place in as well. The moon is a recurring motif through all of Fromsoftware's games, all the way back to Kingsfield, with the Moonlight Greatsword. You're probably hearing the cat yell. Kyra's trying to play with him, and he doesn't want to play. The moon is, we'll talk about it more later. We'll talk about it more when we get more information on the moon. But that's kind of what I just imagine going on in the debate parlor. And I could see why, people like the Karolos conspectus and the Olivinus conspectus, and maybe even Sellen, who wants to do Seeds of Stars, why they might have an issue with the Carians, because they want to focus on stars and glintstone. And the Carians are like, nah, dog, it's the moon. But the moon houses no glintstone. The moon doesn't give us any glintstone. So what, why are we focusing on that? Well, I think mostly because I think we've already talked about it. The Carians do not want them to have their wisdom of stone. They are forbidding people to learn the truth of this world, about the seeds, the true seeds of stars. All right, next episode we're going to continue through the Academy. This was a yapper episode, but I think it was a fun one. All right, you know the drill. Let's do the thing.